Hey everyone, what is going on? My name is Curtis Brooks. I'm the technical director with Curtis Brooks Media Productions, and today I'm going to talk about the replay and the ISO function within Wirecast. So, what you're going to be seeing is my screen here for a bit and a half, I guess, or whatever that means. But in any event, here we go. I have actually been using Wirecast for quite some time now, and recently purchased, well, a few months ago, I purchased the Pro version of Wirecast. So I had been working with the studio version of Wirecast for quite some time, and within the studio version, there is the option. You can't activate it, but there's the option to do the replay. So I said, well, let me check this out. So I purchased the Pro version of Wirecast, and here we are with the Pro version. And I've been inquisitive about the replay ISO function, so I wanted to check this out here. And so when I hopped on telestream.net and went into the forum, there's just not a whole lot of information, and there are lots of people asking questions, but a lot of confusion because it's confusing. The information they put out there is kind of confusing, and even when you're looking at the documentation, it's not very clear. So I wanted to try, hopefully, clear some things up and maybe answer someone's question because I certainly had questions. So here we go. Let's go ahead and try and tackle this. All right, get this on my way here. All right. I'm going to start my ISO. Right now, you're looking at the Wirecast layout here, UI, and I've already set up my ISO. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let's go into the configure. We're just going to tackle one thing at a time. So let's go ahead and do the replay. So right now, we have program replay selected. Okay, now let's look into the settings for that. Okay, for the program replay, you have capture audio in the replay, which I have selected because I want to capture the audio. Okay, we have the standard quality for the video. I've selected that because obviously it's going to eat up a lot of resources. So I am staying away from the high part of it, the high quality video portion of it, because my resources may not be as yours, and so I know my limitations or their lack of. So I work with the standard. And in the area for the folder is basically going to give you the option to select the folder which you will have your replay to be placed in. Okay, and for me, well, that's this file. But again, you just select your folder, choose a folder, create one, whatever the case might be. Uh, be it for me, I think it's selected for movies, and you can just kind of choose a folder in there, whatever the case might be. All right, you select your folder, or you can use an external hard drive. Okay, you can use an external hard drive or a SSD in your system. All right, so for me, I have set up the hotkeys. The hotkeys are A, B, and C. A, okay, hopefully you're paying attention because this is somewhat confusing. A is the hotkey that I've chosen to create the replay. Okay, so when I select A, once we get going here, it's going to automatically create that replay. B is my hotkey to update the replay. And then C is my hotkey to create the endpoint for the replay. And then finally, manage will take you back to your options to create a different hotkey or select a different hotkey to your liking. All right, so we're going to select OK. Well, not quite. We're going to go back to replay settings. All right. All right. Under replay settings, I can choose unlimited, meaning that that replay will continue to create that replay as long as I have set it up to. Okay, set it up for. Limited will be, again, you're placing some kind of restrictions on it. So you have seconds. You can put one in there. It would be 1 second. Then one would be 1 minute or hours, whatever the case might be. And then you have the default replay duration. So this is just for the replay, duration for the replay, okay? Only 30 seconds. I can change this number and put 15 seconds, 10 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever the case might be. But I'm going to leave it at the default setting. Default setting was limited to 1 minute and then it's also created the setting of 30 seconds as my default setting again. So I'm just not messing with anything of that. All right, layers. All right, so once you create that replay, you're setting things up here for again to for your replay. You're going to now select the layer for which you want your replay to show up on. So I have the default setting as master layer 1. Okay, so once my replay has been selected or created by selecting A, okay, that's my hotkey for my replay. So I will create my replay by selecting A. You can set up your own hotkey to your own liking. So again, my replay, once I create it, it's going to show up on layer 1. Okay, and you can choose these other layers wherever you want your replay to show up on. All right. But mind you, if you want to play your replay within your broadcast, you want to make sure your replay is above your camera shot. So whatever your main camera shot is, you want to make sure that replay is above it. If not, that replay is going to, like if you've been working with Wirecast for some time now or for a bit, you know that the Wirecast works in layers. Okay, much like other switching software works in layers. And if you have your main camera on layer 3 and you have your replay shot on layer 4, you're going to have your main camera above your replay shot. So that's not going to do you any good, okay? Your replay shot will actually be playing behind your main camera, so you don't want to do that. So you want to make sure that your replay shot uh, is above your main camera shot, okay? So it shows up on its own layer, and then if you choose to play it during your broadcast, it's not going to be affected by your main camera shot, meaning that your main camera shot won't be in front of it, and then your replay shot be behind it, or be on a layer below it, I should say. So that being said, you have selected your layer, all right? All right, and then the option ask when deleting the replay shot, you want to be asked the question, do you want to delete this shot here? So I've chosen to be asked. If you want to keep the recording, it will not allow you to delete it. Okay, I actually haven't played it with that too much, so I'm assuming that if you want to keep it, it says it's going to give you a message that might say you can't delete this or something like that. And then if you want to delete the recording, you just go ahead and delete it and you will not get a message, all right? So now the replay template, the replay shot template, okay? This is interesting, okay? Because you can choose none, all right? Meaning that you it's going to use it's going to use that shot that your main shot camera is going to use the replay from that. It will not have any kind of bells and whistles within that shot, within that frame that you created or the shot that you created. It will not have any bells or whistles, but it will just be the image for which your main camera is, or whatever camera you may be using to do the replay on. Okay? All right, so for this one here, I've chosen none, all right? And then there's the replay shot, okay? And then there's a main shot. The main shot, it's a little bit confusing, guys. It is a little bit confusing, but the main shot is the shot for which I have. You can see my pointer here. I've named my layer 3 shot, the main camera, the main shot. Okay, so again, once the replay is created, it will, if you select main shot, your replay will be found within your main shot. And so if you are, once that replay has been created and it goes live, it will in fact be playing behind your, again, we're working in layers now within Wirecast. It'll be found or be found and playing right behind your main shot. So here is my main shot, and you see the layers here. I have the logo, and I am using the iPad Pro as my external camera through NDI, and you have my audio, and you see my audio source. So if I were to select main shot for my template, for my replay shot template to show up at, it's going to show up underneath all of this stuff here. And then it, if I were to make that shot live, that replay shot will in fact be playing behind all of this stuff here. And while I'm live on the screen, you have the replay being played, and any other or subsequent replay after that. Again, that's only if you select the main shot. So you don't want to select the main shot, whatever you have your main camera label as. You don't want to select this one here, because your replay shot will in fact show up within that layer, okay, within that shot, I should say. All right, so you don't want to select that. You want to select either none or the replay shot layer, okay? And I'll explain that one in just a few moments. Guys, it's a lot of moving pieces to this, so it does take time, and even though it may seem it's a lot going on, in fact, it takes something kind of just wrapping your mind around this stuff here. But so we have the replay shot. Okay, if I were to select a replay shot, let's go ahead and just select a replay shot. We'll come back to this other stuff here. This is the replay shot. So within Wirecast here, it gives you, so if you're creating, let's just see if this was a blank shot. Okay, within Wirecast, if you are creating a blank shot, a new shot, I should say, and you want to have a replay, that new shot be a replay, you can choose. Okay, it's grayed out here, but you can choose replay layer. Okay, so let's go from there. I'm creating a new shot. I want to create a replay. I've already selected the replay layer. It shows up right here. Okay, it's already grayed out here because I've selected it. It shows up right here. Okay, now, now going back to where I selected the replay option or the replay template. Okay, that is in fact the replay template, and everything within that replay template is going to show up on your replay. Okay, and I'll show you in just a few moments. So let's say again, I'm creating a new shot and I want this new shot to be a replay. I've selected a replay shot for which the template will, which the replay will have a template essentially on top of it, the replay. Okay, that's what's happening. You have a template on top of the replay. Okay, the replay shot itself is a transparent shot. So anything that you build on it, it will be seen on top of your replay. All right. Hopefully you're with me and this makes sense. Okay. So that's how that goes down. Okay. So now we're going to get back to the other stuff. So now we have this check mark here. We can choose to have the replay show up in the preview window after it has been created. All right, so I've check marked that, and then we can select, if you so desire, to mute the replay clips containing audio. So I don't want to do that. Then we have the manual start. The manual start means that once I have started my broadcast, be it to broadcast live stream or to do a recording to disk, I can start this manually. Okay, just click on the ISO record button up top there. Okay, so that will be my option to start it manually. Okay, and so if again, let's just go here, cancel that. So if I want to start it manually here, I'll click this one here. Okay, so let's say if I started the broadcast here, the stream, or I started to record to disk here. Either way, if I wanted to begin the replay, I can start this manually after I have started either broadcasting or recording to disk. I can just click on the button 10 minutes later, 5 minutes later, anytime after the broadcast has been started. Again, just starting it manually. All right. Or there's the option, let's go back here to configure, click on replay settings, or there's the option to have it start with the record, meaning that you are recording to disk. Okay, that's recording to disk. And that's going to be from your left. It's going to be your middle button. Okay, and if you are broadcasting, you're sitting on a live stream, it's going to be your first button that you press. So whether you're recording the disk, once you start, click on record, the ISO will begin. All right. And likewise, if you are broadcasting, if you're streaming out, again, that first button on your left-hand side there at the top of your UI, that once you click on broadcast, it's going to begin the ISO. So you don't have to worry about pressing the ISO manually or separately. It'll start when you record the disk automatically, when you click on record, or if you click on broadcast, the ISO will begin on either of those options, okay? So now we have the ISO starting manually. We're going to keep it manually, okay? All right. And I'm going to start the ISO. All right. Click on the ISO, okay? I'm going to take this off screen. That's going to bring me dual screen here, okay? We're going to give it a second because, again, I have it set up for 30 seconds. All right, so it's going to record only 30 seconds. All right, it's going to 30-second segments or buffers or frames or shots of 30 seconds. All right, so that's how that works. So now, for me, remember I set up my hotkey as A. I'm going to select A. A now gives me, let's look at this now. I've got 30 seconds here. All right, 30 seconds for a replay. All right. All right, so now I have 30 seconds. This shot here was designated to be on the first layer. Remember? The first layer. Then we've got my main camera. This shot here was also designated to show up in a preview window per our settings for the replay. All right, so here it is on the first layer and it shows up in a preview window. All right. I'm going to play the replay. Okay, we are back now. So after the replay finishes, it will then go back to your live shot. So that's where we're at right now. We're back to my live shot. Okay, that's this one here on the third layer, on layer number 3. Okay, so that was the replay. All right, that was my hotkey that I set up was A. Remember in the instructions here or the setup here. Well, we can't get there now because I have the ISO going here. But within the configuring of the replay, I had it set up to go on the preview, to show up in a preview window. I also had it to show up on the first layer, okay, which is layer 1 here. That's exactly where it's at. And I also chose replay as my template. So this is my template here. Again, this is essentially a transparent shot here, okay. This is a transparent shot, all right? And anything like, if you use Wirecast for any time now, you understand how it's set up in layers. You see the text box here where it says replay. You see my logo here in the bottom left-hand corner. And you see the replay layer itself. And this is the template which the shot is going to be created from. So the template is going to be on top of the replay, all right? So just for grins here, let's go ahead, stop the ISO here. All right, let's go back to replay plus ISO. Let's go back to configure, and we'll go back to the replay settings. So that, remember, that was the replay shot template I've been using, okay? All right, so if I choose not to use a template, okay, it's still going to show up on the first layer. Excuse me. It's still going to show up on the first layer, and it still gives me the option to ask to keep the recording. So everything else is the same. The manual setting is still the same. So I will start it manually, and then again everything else is the same with the exception of I'm not using a template now, the replay template. Okay. So let's say okay to that one there. Let's start the ISO. Give it an opportunity to build, to create a 30-second replay because we just started it. So if I click on my hotkey, which is A to create a replay, it's going to be less than 30 seconds because it has not created that 30-second replay yet. Okay. So give it a moment here. Again, this is just for demonstration purposes, obviously. It's not like you're having to warm it up, but again, just depending on what your replay duration is within the settings. So now let's take this off here. Let's select A for my replay. I've got a 30-second replay. All right. And remember, we chose none as a template. We're not using any kind of template, which was the replay shot here. Again, this is the template, if you will. Okay. So we're not using any kind of template. And now I'm going to play the replay, which we selected none, no template. So it should play without a template. Okay. All right, we are back, guys. Again, this is selected as no template, as none within the options here. And the replay setup here is actually really cool here. It is really cool here. But in any event, that's how you do that, okay? So now let's select B. B is my hotkey for updating the replay. Okay, so we've created the replay by selecting our hotkey or my hotkey I've selected, and that is A. A is to create the replay, and it's going to select 30 seconds before. Okay, the 30 seconds before. So from the time that I select my hotkey or create the replay, it's going to be 30 seconds before. Okay, so if I select A now, it'll be grab the 30 seconds that was before that, right? And then use it as a replay. So now let's do B, all right? Let's select B. My hotkey is B, all right? B is my hotkey, and it gives me 30 seconds. And because, let's go ahead and play this here. We're still using none. Okay, we are back here. Again, that was to update, all right? So now let's select B again. All right, there we go. If you notice on my screen here, right here, okay, This is the shot that when I first selected B, it created a 30-second replay. All right. When I selected B again, it's going to update that replay. Okay. So that's what it did. So here you'll have the updated version of the replay. Okay, we are back here. And the question that comes to mind for me now, and maybe for some of you, is that, okay, why didn't it update the last shot or the last frame there? And here's my answer to that. And I think I started afterwards. So I created, let's see here. This is where it gets a little tricky. So I created this shot here, this one here. Okay, I'm going to highlight it. I created that one there. That was A. And then I created, I selected B for this one here. All right, and that was to update. Okay, but in fact, it ended up creating a new 30-second replay. And then when I selected B again, it updated that particular replay, which was the initial update. So let's do something again. Let's select B again. And it looks like that same replay has been updated again. So let's play that one more time here. All right, we are back here again, guys. Again, said this is the part where it gets a little bit confusing. So I wanted to try to clear some things up. So now let's select A. A creates a new replay. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and play this replay. I just selected A, which is the hotkey that I've set up. Okay, we are back once more. Now I'm going to select B and see what happens. Okay, all right. So here's the thing. When you first create that replay, the replay, using your hotkey or using this guy over here, okay, it says create replay shot, shift click, and replay, okay? So, okay, nothing happened. Let's try that one more time. So now I just created a replay, okay? A new replay. But if I were to select B again, which is my update, the hotkey I'm using for the update, it's going to update the update, if you will. Remember, the initial update was a 30-second shot or replay shot. And ever since then, I've selected update or be my hotkey for the update. It has gone to this particular frame right here, the one that's highlighted, right? So now let's tackle the N, where you mark an endpoint. Excuse me. I think there was a bit of confusion there for me and for a few other people. All right, so for me, I have a hotkey set up for the N to create an endpoint. I have C. Okay, so I'm going to select C. Okay, I do have C, right? Oh, it's already there. Okay. Oh, okay, it's already there. All right, so that being said, let's scratch this here. Let's remove that there. So I was expecting something miraculous to happen, but in any event, so for C, my hotkey for the endpoint, I'm going to select it. And if you look right here, it gives me a counter. Okay, so from 10:39, I don't know how many seconds. I don't know how many seconds have passed right now. So now I'm going to select A. Now you look at the timer right in here, the time here, that replay from the time that I selected the endpoint has been only 13 seconds have gone by. So here's the thing, and here's the confusion I want to clear up. And it took me a minute to wrap my mind around this as well. Here's the thing. When you select the endpoint by using a hotkey or this little deal here, right here, when you select your hotkey or this deal here for your endpoint, you have not created the replay. You, in fact, are just choosing an endpoint. And from that endpoint and time moving forward, you will have that will make up your replay, okay? Because the time is moving forward, okay, forward from the time that you've created the endpoint. And then when you have selected A, you're in fact now creating the replay from the endpoint, which I think mine was 10:39 or something like that. So from the endpoint of 10:39 for the time, it's actually creating a buffer of frames. And then once you select A, which is my hotkey, it's going to create the replay with all that has kind of transpired from the time that you have selected the endpoint. Okay, so let's do this. So again, I'm using a hotkey. You may not be using a hotkey. So let's try this like this. Okay, so we're going to choose the marker or for the endpoint right here. Okay, so let's select this one here. We've got 13:01. Only a few seconds have been passed. Now we're going to select this one as a replay. Okay, bam. So it's saying 7 seconds have passed from the time that I selected the endpoint. And again, I use the replay function or create replay button here on the UI here. I selected this here, okay, to create a replay, right? So if I were to select this without using the end marker, the endpoint, it's going to give me a 30-second replay, all right? And that 30-second replay will more than likely include the last 7 seconds. Well, it may not now, but anyways, so that's how that works. Okay, so you select the endpoint here. Okay, for me, I have a hotkey set up and I've been using C as my endpoint. All right, so you select your endpoint there, and from the time that this shows up here, that appears in here, you are essentially creating a replay from that point. You haven't created the replay, but you in fact are building up a buffer. The system is creating a buffer of frames that will make up that replay. And then once you select A, it will in fact have packaged all that has made up that replay from the time that has shown within this box here. Okay, so that's how that works. I had to wrap my mind around that one. That was a little challenging for me, but yeah, you may have dealt with the same thing. But anyway, so that's how that works. All right. So, and in fact, it is pretty cool. I've heard someone say that, oh, what's the use of it? But it actually is pretty cool. So you can then choose to have your replay only 5 seconds, even though you may have the duration set up in your presets as 30 second. You don't actually have to do a 30-second replay each and every time. You just select the endpoint by using this here or a hotkey that you may have set up, and then it will in fact then create a replay for you, and then you select this button here to create the replay, however long you want that replay to be from the time of the endpoint. Okay, so that's how that works. Hopefully that's clear. If you have any questions, please leave your questions within the question section of this video here, or comment section. I think that's about it. I think I'll do a separate video on the ISO. That's not too difficult, but nevertheless, I think I'll do a separate video on the ISO. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. I'll move this out the way now. Hopefully that makes sense, guys, in regards to creating a replay. It was a lot of confusion for me for a bit. And really, to be honest, I've just kind of decided to tackle this because I knew Wirecast Pro has a lot more features than, not so much a lot more features, but more features than the studio version of it. And when I seen the replay option within the studio version, I'd always been kind of inquisitive on how it worked. Once I purchased the pro version of Wirecast, I kind of played with it a little bit, and then I said, well, let me go ahead and tackle this here. So when I started to look up information on Wirecast Telestream, the information wasn't very clear. I'll just be very honest with you. It just was not very clear, and the video was horrible. So I wanted to just tackle this, and other people had questions too, like me, and I just wanted to hopefully make this clear to you on how the replay works. You either use hotkeys or not, or use the items here with on the screen here. Okay, your endpoint, create the endpoint, or create your key here, and choose the have a key to update it or not, which you can set up a hotkey. And like I said, if you have any questions, please leave your questions or comments within the comment section of this video here. I'm going to post it to YouTube once I'm done here. Probably won't do a whole lot of editing, so hey, if I've made some mistakes or said some things wrong, hey, that's what it is. I just wanted to kind of try and answer questions that I had, and that perhaps maybe some other people had questions as well in regards to how the replay works within this Wirecast Pro version. And hopefully I've answered questions. Again, if you have any questions, comments, leave them in the comment section of this video. Thanks.